Hi, and thank you for joining us for this webinar for postgraduate students who are coming to Richmond for January 2026. Uh, your orientation will be the 31st of January, and classes will start on the 2nd of February. So hopefully, if you're viewing this, you are one of them, and we are looking forward to welcoming you to London. First off, let me introduce my incredible staff, the Student Affairs team who will be here to greet you on your arrival. You may also meet some of these people virtually before you arrive, particularly if you have specific questions about your studies at Richmond. So my name is Allison. I am Vice President for Student Affairs. Next to me is Elizabeth Lucia. She's our Head of Student Support and Access. Great person to talk to about any specific educational needs you may have or support that you think would be in addition to our already quite inclusive support package. Ian Lenny is our Student Accommodation and Community Support Officer. Ian is somebody you may have talked to already about living in our student accommodation. Ian also puts on a number of events and activities throughout the term, and also a great person to talk to about any special interests you might have inside or outside of your course. Beth Prescott is our Student Health and Wellbeing Officer, and if you are somebody who may struggle a bit with balancing life in general with your studies, or you have a mental health concern, chronic illness, or disability, Beth is a great person to talk to about all the resources that you can access here in London and at Richmond. Alice, you may have spoken to already about a specific educational need, maybe some support that you need in the classroom or support you might need through exams or your dissertation. Alice can put together a personalized support plan for you to make sure that you make the most of your studies at Richmond. Down on the row below is Catherine and Chi. They are our UKVI, that's United Kingdom Visas and Immigration Compliance people. So any questions you have about visas, whether that is a student visa or possibly visiting another country in Europe, you may require a visa. Or maybe after you graduate, you're considering applying for a graduate route visa. Catherine and she can help you with all of that, and they will be front and center on orientation day. Maria and Ragad are our career support team. So Maria is our career support officer, great person to talk to about career pathways, developing skills, maybe looking at some technical qualities or that you may need in order to get into a certain area of your career after your graduation. Ragad hosts our international internship program. So every postgraduate student has the opportunity to do an internship alongside a dissertation at the end of your course. So if you are interested in that, we suggest you talk to Ragad early about these opportunities. And last but not least is Jason. He's our head of financial assistance and scholarships. Jason is somebody you may have talked to about US federal loans, subsidized and unsubsidized, maybe some scholarships available to you. Jason also works with Student Finance England if you're a UK-based student to help students support their education through that avenue. Alongside the Student Affairs team is our head of admissions, Chema Haji George. Probably you have spoken to her about your CAS that you'll need in advance to apply for your visa, or maybe about some of the special requirements for admissions. Gemma and her team are often the first point of contact before you're admitted to the university for any questions you might have about requirements. Now, when you come to campus on the 31st of January, you will meet some of the people below who are the academic course leaders. So if you're joining a business course, particularly the MSc in International Business Management, you will meet Professor Akene Okwechime. He is the course leader for that course. Our head of the business school, Professor Greg Gannon, leads our MBA course. Eilish Tobin is one of our marketing professors and somebody who teaches on the MBA and MA in luxury brand management. If you're studying an MA in international relations, you will meet Dr. Noga Glucksum. And if you are studying a MSc in program management and sustainability, you'll meet Dinesh Moti. Lastly, there, unfortunately, no pictures, is the course leader for MA in PR and advertising, and that is James Peaty. So all of these people will be with us on the 31st of January to meet you in person and to talk to you about your course. So let's talk about getting started before arrival. The first thing you will need to do in order to prepare for your arrival here in London is to sign into your Outlook account. So Richmond operates Microsoft 365, which means you have a university email account, but you also have access to online versions of Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneDrive, and the rest of it. You can sign into your IT account now, but you will need to know your student ID number, and that is the 9-digit number that starts with 000. It will be in your admissions offer letter. You just need to go to outlook.office.com. Your username will be that student ID number that starts 000 at richmond.ac.uk. And your password for now, the first time you log in, will be Richmond with a capital R and your 6-digit birth date. And that is in the day, month, year format. After you sign in for the first time, you will be immediately asked to change your password, and that password will follow you for the next 6 months until you'll be required to change it. So make sure that you choose something that you can remember. Richmond operates single sign-on for most of our services, so that password will also sync to our other platforms. Within 48 hours of signing on to your Outlook account, you will be able to access the Rio student portal. And Rio is our student information system. It's your first point of access to update your personal details, like your London living address, your mobile phone number, your personal email. You can also apply for housing on the student portal. You can view your financial account, and once you're registered, you can see the classes that you're registered for and your registration history. So your username will again be your student ID number, and your password will be the same as your Outlook account that you changed the first time you logged in. On or around the 5th of January, we will be releasing a course on Blackboard, and Blackboard is Richmond's virtual learning environment. Blackboard is the platform you will use for each of your classes, and you will be able to, on those pages, you'll be able to see your course syllabus. You'll be able to upload assessments. You'll also be able to see any course materials that your faculty member has produced on there. And often there is a chat and messaging service there too. So we do encourage you to log in there every day and have a look at what's going on. All of you will be shortly enrolled on a new student orientation course. And the reason we do this is if you're not familiar with Blackboard, this gives you the opportunity to gain some experience with it and become more confident with it before you start your classes. So on the orientation course, you will find resources for living in London. You'll find some documents that may be really helpful. There's a video or two on there, I think a welcome from our president, and lots of other resources that we've put together, both from staff and student leaders. So starting the 5th of January, we'll be writing to you, asking you to log on. You'll log on again in the same way. You go to blackboard.richmond.ac.uk. You put in your username, which is, again, your student ID number, and that same password that you've used for our other services. And this is what it looks like. There are, as I mentioned, videos, there is a timetable, there are resources for you to look at, and lots of additional information to get you prepared for studying in London. So as I mentioned, our orientation is the 31st of January, 2026. It will take place at our Chiswick Park campus, which is building 12. Please arrive at 9:30. You'll be expected to stay until about 4 p.m. The good news is we will offer you some lunch. So if you do have dietary requirements, please do let us know. Any questions about that day or anything surrounding orientation, you can always contact us at the email address there. So the orientation day will cover document checks and a visa seminar, which will be run by our UKVI compliance team. You'll also have an opportunity to meet our IT team and learn about accessing university systems. So I've mentioned three already. I've mentioned our Microsoft 365. I've mentioned the Rio portal, and I've also mentioned Blackboard. But there's some other services as well and a few apps that you will have access to as a student. Those will all be covered in that seminar. We also host a Life in London seminar because we know that many of you may not be familiar with living in London, and this will give you the opportunity to ask some of those essential living questions about transport, banking, how to budget here in London, and ways to balance your studies and getting around. We'll have some campus tours. You'll also be able to collect your student ID, and we'll shortly be asking you to upload a photo for that purpose. And of course, you'll get to meet with those course leaders who we had in our first slide to discuss all of the things happening in your classes and your academic requirements. If you do have questions for our finance or IT teams, they will be around all day as well. And we do expect everybody to come in person. So student accommodation is something that we do offer. Unfortunately, here on campus, we don't have accommodation, but we do partner with a really great provider only about 25 to 30 minutes away from campus. And I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Elizabeth to tell you a little bit about accommodation.
Yes, thank you, Allison. So, our student accommodation that we partner with is Stay Club. They have a few different locations across London, but the one closest to our campus that we partner specifically with is Stay Club North Acton, which, as Allison said, is about 25 minutes away, depending on how you get there. It's about 34 minutes on the bus, as you can see, or about a 15-minute walk and short trip on the overground. So all things considered, a really great London commute. This space includes lots of amenities, beyond just having a private room, which is a small studio with your own bathroom and kitchenette, with a hob and small oven, and sink, all the stuff you need. There's also shared spaces that include more complete kitchens with all you could need to cook a large meal, as well as a cinema room, a cafe, a gym on site, and lots of live-in staff, both Richmond staff specifically. We have RAs, so residence assistants, and an RD, a resident director, who are there as Richmond representatives to support you, as well as Stay Club staff themselves who give 24-hour security support, as well as really responsive maintenance staff. All of the linens are included in your studio, as well as some basic cooking materials, plates, mugs, all of that good stuff. And as Allison said, unfortunately, our specific allocated rooms that we have with the Stay Club for spring are sold out, but you can still book directly with Stay Club if this is something you're interested in. Of course, if you feel like you want to go a different direction, you can rent privately. So this is, just any sort of normal tenancy that you might take up in an apartment or in a house share. If you're thinking about finding a room in the private sector, then some options for starting your search are Spare Room and Rightmove. Rightmove is sort of the catch-all London property search engine online. And Spare Room is specifically for house shares. So if you are looking for something a little bit more budget friendly, you can check out Spare Room. And if maybe you're looking with a couple friends or partner to share a space with, then Rightmove could be a good place to start your search as well. Some things to keep in mind, though, as you start your search. Make sure that you get to know your landlord, of course. There are lots of larger reputable companies that do more commercial rentals, but obviously a lot of people have individual landlords, private landlords, so make sure you meet them online. And think about ahead of time, like where you can stay while you're doing your search. Is there anyone you know in the area? Look at things like the transport. What does the journey to campus look like? You'll find that probably some rentals that are further away from the center of London or even outside of London will be a little bit cheaper than ones closer into the center of London. But you might find that after spending some money on the commute, that actually living quite close to campus does cut down on costs or at least evens it out. So think about transport costs and time as well as just the sticker price for your rental. Think about how your deposit is protected as well. You want to make sure that you're avoiding rental scams. And if you ever have any concerns about that kind of thing, you can always contact us at our student affairs account because we can help steer you in the right direction. If you're a little bit confused about what next steps to take for your housing search are, and if you have any concerns about, you know, a specific rental, you can always run them by us and we're happy to help.
Great. Thanks, Elizabeth. One of the things we have tried to do to get you connected before you arrive in London is to provide opportunities for you to communicate easily with one another. So we are inviting you to join our WhatsApp chat groups. They're already active because we have students who arrived in September to start their courses, and these are the courses that you will be joining. So if you're joining any one of those 5 courses there, we will connect you with the WhatsApp group and you can join immediately to start meeting students who are here in London already and those who will be joining you as a new student in January. So one of the questions I get very often from students coming to London fresh is about how to manage your money. It can be quite an expensive city to live in, but there are clever ways that you can manage your finances. So some of the things you might think about as you start to budget, people in the UK spend around 40 to 50 pounds per week on food, and this does not include ordering in food or going out to a restaurant for food. So food can be at quite a cost. Your average monthly rent in London just for a room is £850 a month. Of course, your first term is likely to be your most expensive as you start to get used to the cost of living here and the conversion that you're making from your own currency to pounds. We encourage you to make sure you have money to travel, and you will be offered discounted travel as a full-time student. Of course, you need money to study, and you might have some course materials that you need to purchase. And we also want you to really enjoy the capital. There are lots of low-cost and no-cost ways that you can do that, and we will be promoting them weekly in our newsletter to you. If you are planning to rent, remember all those added charges that Elizabeth was just talking about, utility costs, deposits, a TV license, and the rest of it. You will be eligible to work part-time during your studies. So during term time, you will be limited to 20 hours per week. Outside of term time, you can work full-time. Make sure that if you are looking for work, you pick a schedule that works well with your class schedule because your number one reason for coming to the UK is to study. Also consider where you live. You may find it easier to find a part-time job close to your house. You might find it easier to find a part-time job close to campus. And we're lucky enough to be on a fairly busy high street with a lot of options for part-time work. Certainly ask our careers team for advice, and we will be hosting events surrounding employability. We also have a careers app called Handshake where you can look for available roles in the area. One of the things that I tell students every orientation is make sure that you check your Richmond email. Right? During pre-orientation, we'll be contacting you on your personal email addresses, but once you sign on as a Richmond student, we'll only use your university emails. So make sure that you're checking those regularly. You can get the Outlook app on your phone, and it becomes really easy to do that. Don't be shy about approaching local businesses, and often you'll see just a little note in the window saying, looking for a part-time hostess or waitress or waitstaff or cook or whatever it may be. Connect with other Richmond students. Many of our students do work part-time, and sometimes they'll be asked by their employer to get the word out about potential jobs and openings. So just so you know, the London living wage is currently £13.85 per hour. Our national minimum wage is £12.21 for students or for people who are 21 or older. You do have options for financial support here at Richmond. And as I mentioned, we have connections to the Student Loan Company, which is Student Finance England. We also work with the US Department of Education to support students with subsidized and unsubsidized loans if you are a US citizen. We have a very generous scholarship program for students coming into the university. So if you've applied for one of those, our admissions team will get back to you about outcomes. And we have put together some top tips to help you budget as well. Most of those are from our peer leaders who have been where you are right now, contemplating coming to a new country and living here with minimal financial support. Jason, is there anything you wanted to add about finances and financial support?
As Alison mentioned, we do have support available, a very generous scholarship scheme, but also whilst you're an enrolled student as well, if you do face some financial difficulties, there's some small amount of funding available to current students in terms of tuition support. But please feel free to reach out if you do have any questions relating to funding. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Jason. Okay, so on to transport. We suggest when you arrive in London, you'll probably be arriving to one of the larger airports, maybe Heathrow, possibly Gatwick. You think about purchasing a small data roaming package. While you will have Wi-Fi in every major airport, of course, and in most retail places in London, you won't have it on trains and tubes for the most part. So you may want to purchase a small data roaming package so that you aren't charged an extreme amount by your home country's mobile package. We can certainly help you with that. And once you arrive on campus, we will have some ideas of SIM providers if that's something you want to do. Lots of international students get eSIMs so that they can keep their international mobile phone. You can download Google Maps offline, and if you're particularly concerned about how to get from point A to point B in London, that might be a good way to do it. You can also contact us for help for support with directions. We encourage you to make copies of your important documents, and we encourage you to travel with those documents as close to you as they can be. Losing a passport or any of those important documents that you're traveling with will cost you a lot of time and money. So try to keep those safe. You'll find that most businesses in London are cashless. In fact, many businesses don't take cash at all and require you to pay with a card, often with a contactless card. If you don't have one of those, you can very easily these days get a multi-currency card that will help you to just put an amount of money on it of your home currency and then easily convert it to pounds. You can bring cash, and it's not impossible to pay with cash, but some businesses simply won't accept it. So something to consider. The top tip we have for everything surrounding orientation is don't bring too much stuff. Things in London are a lot smaller probably than where you're coming from. Your room will be smaller, facilities will be smaller, trains and tubes will seem a whole lot smaller. So try to bring only what you need and consider or make some choices about what you can leave at home. If you're looking at getting from the airport to student accommodation or getting from the airport to wherever you may be living in London, we recommend that you try to arrive between the hours of 8 and 4. That means you'll have better transport connections and an easier, hopefully smoother travel out of the airport and into wherever you may be going. All of our major airports have train and tube or taxi and bus facilities, and they are very well connected. So if you are worried about getting out from the airport into the city, we can certainly help you with that. Public transportation services in London are on Google Maps. You can also download an app called Citymapper, which a lot of people use to try and see the length of a journey, the cost of a journey, and some of the alternative routes. But if you are concerned about traveling, not knowing too much about transport, we can help you do that if you send us an email to our student affairs email. So I mentioned that you will be able to access discounted travel as a full-time student studying on a course of over 12 months. You can apply for a photo card, and the photo card looks like the one here in the top corner. You'll have to upload a digital photo of yourself, complete an application, pay a £21 application fee, and then this card will cover you with 30% discounted travel on weekly and monthly passes. So if you're just traveling daily on a contactless card, this won't give you any discount. But if you are traveling weekly, and we do encourage you to get weekly or monthly passes if you're traveling in the range of 3.5 to 4 days a week, you can save significantly. Travel in London is by zones, and we at Chiswick Park are in Zone 3. Most of the iconic sites that you may want to see are in Zone 1. Many of our students live as far out as Zones 5 or 6. So think about where you'll be traveling to, at what time, and between which zones. So if you're joining us from overseas, there's a few things you need to think about, including healthcare and visas. And I'm going to turn over again to Elizabeth to talk a little bit about our National Health Service.
Great. So for all of you, you'll be joining us as degree students. So if you're a UK degree student, so if you have residency here in the UK, then you will probably already be familiar with the NHS. But for those of you who are joining us from abroad, this is probably new to you. The NHS is the National Health Service, and because you'll be coming on a visa, you will have access to the NHS service. And that's because when you come here on a visa, you pay for something called the health surcharge. And that gives you access to all of the health services here in the UK. So something to think about is when you do arrive in the UK, we'll give you some guidance about how to register with a general practitioner's office or a GP office. But we can cover some of the specifics of that when you actually arrive in country. If you have any chronic conditions that you're concerned about, or repeat prescriptions that you already take regularly, and you want to make sure that you're set up for success when you arrive here in terms of getting your health sorted out, then you can always email us ahead of time to ask questions. And you will need, as we said, you will need to register to access healthcare through the NHS. So there's some information about that online. And really importantly, you'll need to ensure that you've activated your e-visa ahead of time, because that's something that you'll need to show us to enroll and to do things like opening a bank account, often to rent property. They'll ask for rental, like proof of right to rent. Same thing with working part-time. They'll ask for something called a right to work check. So that e-visa is going to be really crucial for gaining access to things like the NHS service, but as well as rental properties, bank accounts, and part-time work. So just think ahead of time about getting that e-visa activated before you land, as soon as that visa authorization comes through. And then we can walk you through things like NHS services when you arrive here on the ground.
Great, thanks, Elizabeth. And I'm going to hand over to Catherine to talk a little bit about visas and immigration.
Thank you, Alison. Yes, so just again, I guess following a bit on from what Elizabeth has just said about e-visas, you'll all be joining us on a student route visa if you're coming from an international country. And all visas are now digital, so they're e-visas. And not only do you have to have created the e-visa if you're from outside the European Union, you'll have to do that yourself. You'll have to have done that to actually even start at the university. So when you come to campus for the document checks, you should have already provided any share code before you even travel. It may be that you will be unable to travel if you haven't created your e-visa once your visa is granted. So we strongly recommend that you do that before you travel and as soon as your visa is granted. So when you get that email to say you have been given your visa, you will go to something called the Get Access e-visa, which is the sort of the website link there, And you go on that and you create your e-visa. Just follow the instructions in the email as well that you receive from the Home Office. And then once that's all done, of course, if you have any issues, you can contact the admissions team who are helping you to get the CAS number and how to apply for the visa. But you can always reach out if you have any issues. And then once you've done that, you can generate your share code, which you can do on the View and Prove Immigration Status website, which you can see there. And you can send that to us on the Microsoft form link, which you can see there. Or you can even send it to us on the Enrollee, which is the CAS Shield, which you'll be using with the admissions team. So make sure you do that before you travel. You can also upload your travel documents to the Enrollee CAS Shield as well. So when you come to campus, the first thing you will do is to see us for document checks. So you'll bring your passport, make sure it's the original passport and not a photocopy. Bring a UK term time address, a private email, and your own mobile phone number. And if you haven't done your e-visa, then you'll need to provide a share code. If you've not set up your e-visa, of course, you will do that, as I've mentioned in the previous slide. You'll need to have evidence of date of entry into the UK. And this is really important because we want to make sure you arrived after your visa was granted. So that could be a stamp in your passport, or it could be a boarding pass, but make sure you bring that on arrival. That's basically the main things you need to do, which is really important because you won't be able to register for classes, you won't be able to get your timetable or do anything else. So it's really important that you do that as the first thing you do when you arrive onto campus. If you have any questions, then let us know and we will hopefully be able to help you. And of course, there's the admissions team as well that can answer anything. I think that's about all for now regarding immigration.
Great. Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you.
Okay, some of you may want to open a bank account in the UK on arrival, and we are dedicated to helping you do that. One of the reasons you may want to do this is if you do plan to work here, you will need a UK bank account. All of your salary will be deposited into an account, so the expectation is that you will have something to do that, and it can't be an international account. In order to open a bank account, you will need proof of your student status. So that would be a letter showing that you are a current student. In that letter, we would also have proof of address, which would be your London living address, as well as your overseas address. And then you'll have to prove your status just in the same way Catherine was talking about, showing that you are a student. You'd have to prove that you are studying full-time. We will have HSBC on site during the term at some point to help you, and they are our local high street branch, but they're not the only game in town, and certainly many of our students opt for online services as opposed to high street banks. If you're somebody who is okay with the option of going online, you can do some of those applications really quickly and easily once you arrive in the UK and verify your status as a student. So again, we can help you with these sorts of things during orientation. If you do have questions in advance of arrival, certainly let us know. All right, so one of the things that we really take seriously at Richmond is supporting a diverse student population. And diversity comes in many different forms. Some of that is nationality or language background. But a lot of it can also be the way we think, learn, and come to understand one another. So if you are a student with a specific educational need or have a chronic illness or a disability or something you think might cause you a bit of challenge in studying with us, we want to make sure that we remove any barriers that could be hurdles to that. So with that in mind, I think, Elizabeth, you're going to tell us a little bit about this.
Absolutely. So yeah, just as Alice had said, diversity is one of the things that we consider a real strength of Richmond, and our motto is unity in diversity. And on the practical side of this, that means we support everyone across all ability levels, across all nationalities, identities, to support their success here as a student. And that's something we really value very strongly in our community. So thinking of the practical support side of that, that might mean, as Alison said, if you have some sort of illness, chronic illness, disability, neurodiversity, we have lots of options to support you with those things. We have dedicated team members who can work with you to put together a support plan. Alice, that we mentioned before, is our student accessibility officer, and she can work with you to put together a support plan for in-class and exam support. But we also have staff who are just dedicated to making sure that you have the resources both within the university and in the London community to support you with your well-being. So that could be any aspect of your well-being, whether it's a specific educational need or an aspect of your identity that you want to engage with more here in London. So if there's something that you feel like we can support you with, whether it's related to your studies or just your life in London in general, do get in touch with us ahead of time because we can start discussing different opportunities and options for you in terms of supporting your success as a student here at Richmond.
Great. Thanks, Elizabeth. Okay, so the main event, orientation, again, is the 31st of January, 2026. It will be here at Building 12, which is 566 Chiswick High Road. If you're coming on public transport, the closest station is Gunnersbury Station, but there's another station called Chiswick Park, which is on the other side of the business park. There are lots and lots of buses that service Chiswick High Road, so if you're coming from any destination in London, likely you can get here very easily. We do expect everybody to come in person, and we hope you can be here by 9:30 in the morning, finishing about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It is a great opportunity to meet other students, but remember, you'll also have the opportunity to meet the people who are teaching on your course and the people supporting you. So we hope you will come out and make it a useful day with us here at Chiswick. Classes will start following that on Monday, the 2nd of February. And that is a bit about it from us. Please do contact us if you have further questions about any of the things that we've talked about today. And we really look forward to seeing you in the new year. Thank you.